Hey everyone, today I'm going to be talking about how to use Autodesk Meshmixer with the Microsoft Surface Studio. Here's how the Surface Studio comes out of the box. It's got the Surface Studio, keyboard and mouse, a pen with a pen side and an eraser side, and a touch sensitive display. The other thing I have here is the Microsoft Surface dial. So this is a dial we'll be playing with in a bit. So as you can see right now, I have the Surface Studio set up in a traditional desktop configuration, so keyboard, mouse, upright screen. But the cool thing about the Surface Studio is it's actually on a hinge back here, and so I'm going to move the keyboard out of the way, and you can actually fold it down into more of like a tabletop or drafting table type of configuration. So I'm just going to open this app called Paint 3D. This app comes with Surface Studio, and it will help us show off some of the features of the Surface Studio, because this app was written to take advantage of some of the Surface hardware, specifically the pen and the dial. So here's the pen. So you can draw. This is a standard painting program. You can draw. It has you can control the thickness of your brush and opacity. So that's good. The pen also has an eraser side. So if I use the eraser side, it acts like an eraser. Pretty cool. The other noteworthy piece of hardware is this Microsoft Surface dial, which is pretty cool. I'm going to turn off the lights here so you get less glare. And here's the dial. When you put it on the screen, if your app is designed to work with the dial, it'll pop up this little on-screen UI element. And so in this application, the dial is controlling a color selection wheel. So you can paint, and then you can spin the wheel to choose a different color, do some more painting, and so forth. If you press down on the dial, you can change the dial maps to. So I'm going to map it to thickness now. So I'll do some painting, spin the dial to change the thickness, spin it again to make it thicker, and so forth. So here's Autodesk Meshmixer running on the Surface Studio. Right now it's in standard desktop configuration, so I can use the mouse and keyboard to do everything just as I normally would. And I'm just going to switch it to this sort of tablet configuration by lowering the screen. So this configuration, it's a bit more natural to use the touch screen and the pen for more things. So for instance, I'm going to let's put a stamp on the bunny. I'll choose a stamp with my touchscreen, and then I can draw stamps on the bunny with my pen, or I can use my finger too. Let's work with some medical data. So here I've imported some bones out of some medical imaging software. I'm just using the mouse to rotate it. So a common operation people want to do with Meshmixer is to clean up scans, get them ready for printing. And so this example is actually pretty good out of the box, but I'll just show some common operations people might want to do. So I'm going to use the touch screen to open the sculpt tool, and I can use the touch to select different brushes. So I'm just going to use the robust smooth brush for this operation, and I'm just going to use it to clean up a little bit. So as you can see, this data it's fairly faceted. You can see if I turn on the wireframe mode, you can see there's some long skinny triangles, and you can see it's a little faceted and bumpy. Okay, so I'm just going to use this smooth brush with the pen here to sort of fix up this surface here. As you can see, as I draw with the brush, it's adding more triangles on the fly, basically to give it enough degrees of freedom to move the mesh around as I want. So I'm just going to smooth this surface out just a little bit. And if I turn off the wireframe rendering, you can see compared to its neighbors, it looks much smoother now already, just with like a little bit of work. So Meshmixer isn't explicitly written to take advantage of the Microsoft Surface Studio dial, but even so, the dial can map to a few standard UI events. So you can control the system volume, or you can map it to the scroll wheel of your mouse. And in Meshmixer, the mouse scroll wheel moves the model in and out, does like a dolly operation. You can also map it to what they call zoom, which I think is just control plus mouse wheel. What that actually does in Meshmixer is controls the strength slider. So I'll just demonstrate that. So I've got the smooth brush active, and if I turn the strength all the way up using the dial, you can see it'll be fairly aggressive in how it erodes the surface. And if I turn the strength back down, it'll be like a little more subtle. It won't erode the surface quite so much. The final UI event you can map it to is undo redo, which is pretty sweet. So if you turn the dial, it'll undo my brush strokes. If I turn it to the left, it'll undo. If I turn it to the right, it'll redo. So you can easily navigate through your edit history with the dial. So this is Microsoft Surface Studio with Meshmixer, straight out of the box. No additional development done with Meshmixer. I can imagine if we were going to do some changes to Meshmixer to make it specifically work with the Surface Studio, there are a few things we could do. So with the dial, we could perhaps add the color palette like we saw in the previous one, or maybe we could choose one of this, like choose which slider gets mapped to the dial somehow. Another thing I thought it would be cool, while I was working, I often find when I'm working with a brush, I will want to do a few strokes and then rotate the model, do a few strokes, rotate the model. So it might be cool to be able to map the dial to a rotate operation as well, just because that's a common way to do it. The other good thing we could do would be to add support for the eraser. Right now the eraser just sends exactly the same data as the pen. So it's like holding the left mouse in both cases. But it'd be awesome to map that to like a secondary brush or like an undo operation or something. So that's Meshmixer on the Microsoft Surface Studio. Let us know what you think. You can leave comments under the video, at the Meshmixer forum, or on Twitter. Thanks for watching.